The first I heard about my sister's wedding was an Instagram story. 300 guests, a ballroom with gold chairs, a dress that cost more than the surgery that saved her life. I wasn't in a single photo, I wasn't in a single frame, because I wasn't invited. I sat on my kitchen floor scrolling through strangers' comments, calling my sister glowing and so deserving of happiness. And I thought about the exact same hour, 2 years earlier, when she'd called me sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, hit the like button now. If you've ever stayed silent while someone underestimated you, comment here below. And subscribe to Story Retribution, because today's ending proves that karma always arrives, just not when people expect it. 2 years before that Instagram story, my sister Claire called me crying at 11 at night. Stage 2. The word cancer barely made it out of her mouth before she broke down completely. I didn't hesitate. I had $31,000 saved for my own wedding, the venue deposit, the dress, 3 years of overtime pay from 2 jobs. I withdrew all of it that same afternoon and put it in Claire's account before she'd even finished asking. My fiancé, Josh, and I postponed our wedding. Not canceled, postponed. We had already put a deposit on a barn venue outside the city, and we lost half of it canceling with such short notice. Neither of us said a word about it. We told ourselves we'd have our day once Claire was healthy again. Family comes first. That's what our mother raised us to believe. Claire called me her miracle. She said it into the phone, crying, more than once. I will never forget this. I will never be able to repay you for what you're doing for me. You saved my life. I have that call saved as a voicemail. I never deleted it. Somewhere, quietly, I think I always knew I might need it. My Aunt Denise, who has never trusted easily, sat me down before I sent that money. Get something in writing, she said. Not because I think Claire's lying about being sick, because people forget who saved them the moment they don't need saving anymore. I let her bring in a family friend anyway, a lawyer named Mr. Whitfield, who drafted a simple document. It stated the money was a loan, interest-free, with no repayment deadline except one condition: repayment in full the moment Claire could afford a major life expense exceeding $10,000. Claire signed it without reading past the first paragraph. Whatever you need, she said. I trust you completely. She recovered. Slowly, painfully, but she recovered. Chemotherapy, then a scan that showed shrinkage, then eventually the word cured, which our whole family cried over in a hospital hallway. I was there for every appointment. I held the bucket during her worst nights of nausea. 18 months later than planned, Josh and I finally had our small backyard wedding. No ballroom, no designer dress, 40 guests instead of 300. I wore a dress I found on clearance. I didn't mind. I had my sister alive. That felt like enough. For a while, things between us were good. Better than good. We talked every week. She sent Lily birthday presents and called just to check in. No reason needed. She called me every year on the anniversary of her remission to say thank you, and every year I told her the same thing. She never owed me anything, she just needed to keep living her life fully. I let myself believe the hardest chapter of our relationship had also brought us closer together than we'd ever been as kids. Then Claire got engaged, to a man named Marcus from a wealthy family, and something between us shifted almost overnight. The weekly calls slowed to once a month, then to nothing at all. When I texted to ask about wedding planning, hoping to be involved, her replies got shorter every time. Busy with venue stuff, she'd write. Talk soon. We never did. I found out about the wedding date from our mother, mentioned in passing. I found out about the venue from Facebook. I found out I wasn't invited from a bridesmaid group chat, screenshot my cousin Tara sent me, half apologetic, half horrified. In that chat, someone had asked Claire why I wasn't on the guest list. Claire's response was sitting right there in text, time-stamped, unmistakable. She brings negative energy into the family. I need my wedding day to be positive. She'll understand. My 6-year-old daughter, Lily, had been promised the flower girl role at that wedding a year earlier, back when Claire still called her my favorite niece. When I told Lily she wouldn't be going after all, she asked me why Aunt Claire didn't love her anymore. I didn't have an answer that wouldn't hurt her more. I didn't call Claire screaming. I didn't post anything online. I didn't cry where anyone could see me. I called Mr. Whitfield instead. The condition in the agreement, I said. A wedding counts as a major life expense, doesn't it? It counts, he said. From what I'm seeing online, this one is well past $10,000. Do you want me to send the demand for repayment now? I thought about Lily asking me why Aunt Claire didn't love her anymore. I thought about the canceled venue deposit we never got back. I thought about the words, negative energy, sent by the same woman who once told me I'd saved her life. Send it, I said, for the exact day of the wedding. The formal letter arrived at her fiancé's house 4 days before the ceremony, requesting repayment of $31,000 due immediately, per the signed agreement. I wasn't trying to ruin her wedding. I was simply asking her to keep a promise she'd made in writing when she needed me. Claire called me screaming that I was sabotaging her happiness. I stayed calm. I saved your life with that money, I said. I'm only asking for what you agreed to pay back. You set the terms. I just kept them. This isn't about the money and you know it, she snapped. No, I said. It's about the fact that you didn't invite your own niece to be a flower girl she'd been promised for a year, because apparently I bring negative energy into a family I emptied my savings account for. The money is just the part I can actually prove. She hung up on me. I didn't call back. The wedding happened anyway. 300 guests, gold chairs, a string quartet, all of it streamed live on Instagram for the family members who, like me, weren't in that ballroom. Claire looked radiant in every clip that crossed my feed, laughing with people I'd never met, dancing with a father-in-law who probably didn't know my name. Aunt Denise was there. She had been invited mostly out of obligation, since she'd helped cover part of the rehearsal dinner. She sat quietly through the vows, the first dance, course after course of a dinner that likely cost more than my entire original wedding budget combined. Then, during the open mic toast segment, glass of champagne in hand, she stood up and asked to say a few words. Claire smiled, expecting sentiment. I want to toast to family, Denise said, holding her glass. And to the sister who isn't in this room tonight. The one who gave up her own wedding, her own savings, and 18 months of her life to save yours. I think everyone here should know that. The room went quiet. Someone in the back said, "Wait, what?" Claire's smile froze on her face. "Denise, this isn't the time." "It's exactly the time," Denise said. "Because 4 days ago, you got a legal letter asking you to repay the money that paid for your chemotherapy. And instead of being grateful, you told a group chat she brings negative energy. I have the screenshot, if anyone wants to see it." Claire's new mother-in-law, seated at the head table, turned slowly toward her son's bride. Her face didn't move for a long moment. Then she asked quietly but clearly enough for the microphone to catch, "Claire, is that true?" Her new husband looked between his mother and his bride like he was piecing together something he'd never been shown all of. "Claire," he said, "is she talking about your sister? The one who paid for your treatment?" Claire opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She looked pale, frozen, the champagne glass shaking slightly in her hand. Tara, the cousin who had sent me the screenshot, stood up from her table. "I told you this would come out eventually," she said to Claire. "I told you to make it right months ago." Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. The live stream kept running, and somewhere, hundreds of people who weren't even in that room watched the bride's own family turn silent around her. I wasn't there. I didn't need to be. Mr. Whitfield called me the next morning to confirm the funds had been wired. Every dollar, paid in full, the same week as the wedding Claire didn't want me at. I used part of it to finally book Lily's dance recital costume, the one she'd been asking about for months. I used the rest to start a small savings account in her name, so that whatever happens in our family later, she'll have something that's fully hers, something no one can uninvite her from. Claire texted me a month later. Just 3 words. I'm sorry, truly. I read it twice, then set my phone face down on the counter. I didn't respond right away. I don't know if I ever fully will, not because I want to punish her, but because some apologies need to sit for a while before you know if they're real, or just the sound someone makes when there's no one left standing beside them. What I do know is this. I gave up my dream wedding because I believed family meant showing up for each other, no matter the cost. Claire taught me that love without boundaries isn't sacrifice. It's an invitation to be forgotten. I just made sure that this time, she couldn't forget what it cost her to forget me. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my situation? If you enjoy stories about family betrayal, emotional drama, shocking revenge, and the justice that always finds its way back, subscribe to Story Retribution and turn on the bell so you never miss the next story. Tomorrow's story might be even more unbelievable. See you then.